We still have no confirmatory reports on that.
Sir, ilan talaga yung hawak ngayon ng MNL na estimate nyo?
Well, in the estimates, again, as I made mention yesterday, it's not simple mathematics, no? Again, if we just minus it, we might have a wrong or not 100% accuracy on this, because these are best estimates.
Ballpark.
Ballpark figure siguro less than with that 64 that were this morning, the big number have been taken on this. Siguro half of what we have yesterday. Yesterday we were saying a little over 100, probably a little more, less than 100. But then again, this is an assessment from here, an assessment from a command group, no? Assessment on the ground would differ on a real-time basis, magkaiba yan.
Sir, itong mga na-rescue ba ito yung operation sa KJK building, sir?
I'm sorry?
Kasi nandun daw yung bulk ng sales.
Well, yes, that was part of it.
Are they mostly freed or rescued, sir?
Let us put this in the generic term as rescued, because they got freed or they got away from the armed men because of the responses that we made. I mean, if ever we never undertook this calibrated response, probably they would not have been regained their freedom on this. So it's a combination of it's semantics on the matter of whether rescued, recovered, or they have escaped. The thing is, all of this, or they got freed from being under duress with a calibrated response that was undertaken by the armed forces of the Philippines.
Sir, yung number ng MNL dun sa area?
There had been a lot of reports of deaths. Actually, yesterday I was informing you that there were 51 already. That was yesterday, and I have with me right now an initial report of another 20. But then again, this is still subject to confirmatory on this. But these are the raw reports that I'm getting, that I'm translating to you.
Meaning to say
But let me again put as an emphasis: we're not harping on this deaths of enemy or on that. It's just that we're harping on the thing that sausages have been rescued or recovered, and the situation is getting better, and hopefully we will able to have this concluded the soonest possible time again.
Sir, how many army po yan in terms of yung MNL dun sa area? Kasi, di ba, initially sabi niyo 180 and then nabawasan ng 52 with yung mga namatay, tapos may mga na-arrest pa.
Around that figure again, about something like about a little over or probably a little less than 100 on that. Again, this is not kasi hindi naman tayo pwede makapag-head count na on that on this. And again, these are the best estimates that we have. We are also undertaking the subtraction or the addition or the mathematics to it, but this is just for purposes of having a base data. Again, the soldiers on the ground would be the best on that, but again, they are committed to the incidents right now. So, command headquarters or command center is just making best estimates on the matter.
Sir, di ba nahihirapan, curious na ako, di ba nahihirapan yung troops sa ground na mag-identify kung sino yung MNL?
That's why we're doing this doctrinally, bringing them to the rear, and we have some other people engaged in the collection point. Then, from the collection point, kasi doctrinal ang gawa natin dyan. So that we will not be, we will be within the rules of engagement that we have. Okay? So collect them, bring them to a collection point, then from there, other units with the PNP and the CMC agencies tasked by the Crisis Management Committee to look into this, and doon nagkakaroon ng determination of that.
But how does that work, sir? Do you have a person who...
Well, I believe they have already requested the assistance of the barangay captain in order to determine if this resident is within his constituent and also probably some civilians in the area who could identify this, because for one, I believe there were students who were also rescued, and it is their relatives who are identifying them. It's a process. I believe they're more learned on that in the actual ground in itself. But again, the thing is again, bring them to where there's no conflict, where there's no firefight, then there's that is where the collection point is.
Diyan, ramdam po ba na parang nagtitipid na sa pagpapaputok yung MNLF dun sa lugar?
May I avoid saying that medyo no, the operational side of it now.
Sir, pero lumiit na po ba yung area?
Oh, yes, di ba?
Areas na
We were saying that the calibrated response is also to contain and constrict them. As we contain them in one area, we constrict their space. In a manner of speaking. Again, this is not space in terms of land area, so to speak. This is space as far as how they can move along or how can they deliver fires. Kung naando naman sila sa open space, kahit if they don't have any covering concealment, again, those are operational in nature, but the end in view of this calibrated response is, again, first is the civilians protection, second is to contain and constrict them into the areas where they are holed out.
General, meron bang pressure na nararamdaman from the military for them to use close air support yesterday? Because the president is also
I'm sorry.
nag-pressure naman sila kasi ilang araw na itong
Pressure on the part.
On their part na to use force na rin, but that's why they used close air support yesterday.
As I've said, this is a means available to us. Again, for protection of troops, for protection of the communities outside the area, and to deliver it where the armed man is concerned. And that is the reason why this close air support was undertaken.
So, meaning to say, are we going to have another air support game?
Since it is a means available to us, then if there's a need to, then we will undertake it, depending on the operational side. I would like to be careful in stating that because I don't want it that it's a means we can use anytime. It's there. It's a means we can use anytime, but it has to be within the rules of engagement. There are certain procedures we follow before this close air support is delivered. So we have to look into that. Even if it's available to us, but it will bring communities into harm's way, then the option would not be an option again on our part, so to speak.
Sir, all-out war, is that an option?
No, that's not the term.
Okay.
It's calibrated response.
70% daw po ng area, sir, under control na ng government security
Mm,
forces.
It's the report released at Western Mindanao Command is that in the areas where they were holding out in the past by the Miswari MNL faction, 70% of that is now in government control. So it's not. Let's not make the mistake of saying 70% of Zamboanga City. It's where they were holed out.
So yung 5 barangays, sir.
Yung barangay, sir.
In the 5 barangays that they were reported. Yeah. So in where they're, kasi hindi naman, then again, it's not again the whole of barangay. Santa Barbara is quite a big barangay, and Santa Catalina is also. Rio Hondo is a barangay in the shoreline. So it's not really the whole of in the areas where they were holed out before, where they were standing ground or and bringing along these hostages, using them as human shields. 70% of that, as reported from Western Mindanao Command, has been in government control.
Kumbaga sir, yung limang barangay, nandun pa rin yung mga MNLF, pero medyo lumit na lang yung...
Oh yes, as I've said, that is the purpose of the calibrated response.
Sir, may nag-clearing na ba?
In the areas, yes, we're clearing. In some of the areas already recovered, there's clearing. So it's an effort undertaking simultaneously and supporting each other's other thing. In the areas, I would say probably from my point of view here is in the areas where you recovered, then the first thing to do is to clear the area. One is for unexploded ordnance, UXOs, UXOs, as we term it. Second is a possibility of any improvised explosive devices left in the area, and other dangers that could have been placed there or are there now because of the incidents that have happened in the recent past.
So how about in Basilan? May latest news?
In the Basilan, wala naman. Still, the efforts there are continuing natin security operations, ensuring that there's no incident of the same nature in that area.
Sir, yung Davao na explosion mo?
Oh yes, in Davao there was an explosion reported yesterday in a cinema. I think Task Force Davao and the Davao City Police Office looking at it right now.
Wala pa kayo?
Sila pa, we haven't received any reports on that. I mean, there are reports of the incident, but on the investigation, wala pa. I don't have yet in my possession here in Camp Aguinaldo the results of those investigations.
So which means, sir, hindi na lang po MNL
Yes.
initiated or
Yeah.
Wala pa.
Sir, paano natin yung Yun na parang humahalo dun sa mga evacuation, di ba?
That's why the process is to undertake this in the collection point. Yun nga, relatives, barangay captains, combination on that. Kung meron naman nagsabi, anak ko yan or something like that, and this is identification. And it's a process. There's no there's a fixed process on that, but again, it has to be as we deal with one person on the matter.
Sir, going back to Basilan, when was the last were there encounter yesterday?
None that was reported to us on Basilan. In Basilan, my data in Basilan is 9 wounded from the AFP and 8 from the PNP, and 1 civilian wounded.
Sir, normal na ba yung tuition doon? Business?
In other parts of Zamboanga City, I have friends in Zamboanga City, and they were telling me that.
Okay, yun yung pong napanood ay ang isinasagawang press conference ni AFP spokesman Domingo Tutaan kaugnay po ng operasyon ng militar sa Zamboanga City. Containment daw ang isinasagawang proseso ng kanilang tropa roon para maiwasan pang madamay ang iba pang sibilyan. Nakikipag-coordinate din daw ang kanilang mga tauhan sa mga barangay officials ng mga apektadong lugar para malaman kung ilan pang sibilyan ang apektado. Sa ngayon daw, nagpapatupad ang militar ng calibrated response sa MNLF Miswari faction.
Then again,